Perhaps nothing makes the point more clearly than a big pothole. Cities and towns need to regularly maintain their roads to keep them drivable and keep them safe. That costs money, and local governments generally don't have enough money in their transportation budgets to keep up on maintenance. They're having to borrow from the general fund.
Oh, it's a huge problem for cities and towns across Utah. Right now you have cities that are subsidizing their transportation issues out of the general fund. For example, we have cities that are spending 50% of their transportation budget using general fund money. What that means is money that could be spent on public safety, that could be spent on parks and recreation, it could be spent on other necessary services in their cities and in their towns, is instead being diverted to transportation because the transportation revenues are not keeping up with the expenses.
Cities and towns have been watching the 2014 legislative session closely, hoping lawmakers would spell some sort of relief.
The proposal on Senate Bill 60 is to have a proportion of the gas tax as a fixed price and a portion as a variable price based upon the cost of gas itself.
Senator John Valentine sponsored a bill to change the way the gas tax is calculated, making a portion of the tax fixed, the other based on inflation.
SB 60 recognizes that the cost of building the roads is primarily asphalt and that it is a variable cost, and that the cost of the petroleum products that we burn to drive on those roads is a variable cost also. It attempts to match up those two.
As overall costs rise, so would the price we pay at the pump for a gallon of gas. Yet there are some cars that don't use gas at all, but they share our roads. Electric and CNG cars and buses put wear and tear on our roads just like all other vehicles.
Senator Harper has a separate bill dealing with registration fees, which attempts to adjust the differences between gasoline and diesel on one side and electric cars and CNG on another side by having a different registration fee for those vehicles that are not paying the full impact on driving on the roads through a gas tax.
Those vehicles are still using the roads, and they're not spending money on gasoline, which means they're not contributing to the motor fuel tax.
The House approved a bill sponsored by Representative Johnny Anderson that will increase the amount of transit tax cities and counties are authorized to collect in sales tax. It's a county option tax that will be increased by 0.25%. This money would fund bus service or active transportation. Outside of Salt Lake County, the tax revenue could also be used to fund rail projects.
Be able to use it for whatever mass transit facilities they want to use it for. It's a county option, so counties have to opt in and then they have to put it out to voters. So the legislature doesn't authorize a tax increase. We let counties make the decision to go to their voters for it.
These lawmakers say we probably won't see funding for roads change much this year. Senator Valentine's bill to alter the way gas taxes are imposed won't mandate an increase until July of 2015.
I think the hope is next session. We still have one more year of study in this interim study that we're doing on transportation funding. Right now, hey, get a hold of your representatives and tell them to support Senate Bill 60. But you know, regardless of what happens with that, talk to them in the upcoming year about the importance of transportation funding.
For the Utah League of Cities and Towns, I'm Susan Wood.